In section 6.4D, we're just going to add on to our notes from concept 2. So if you'll just take that and flip it to the back page, we're going to do difference of squares. Now, difference means subtraction only. So what we're going to do is list some of the squares. So the squares you can just start making a table and listing 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, and so on. You can keep going on to infinity. So when you see these numbers, you'll know that those are perfect squares. Now, we're going to start out, and we did this earlier in the year, we're going to start out with x squared minus 4. Now, off to the side here, and you don't need to write this down, but if I pretend this is like I want to make it a trinomial, it would be x squared minus 0x minus 4. And if I did my factoring, I'd have factors of a times c that sum to b. So a times c would be negative 4. Summing to b would be 0. So I would have 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. This needs to be a negative. So one of the numbers has to be negative, and they have to add up to 0. So if I make one a negative and one a positive, those are going to be 0. So we would rewrite this as x squared minus 2x plus 2x minus 4. And then I would factor by grouping, and I could pull out an x. And here I could pull out a plus 2. And grouping again, I could pull out an x minus 2, and I'm left with an x plus 2. Okay, so that's how it factors using that table. Now there is a shortcut. If this is a perfect square, which means you can figure something that you can multiply by itself 2 times to get x squared, then it's x times x. So if I take the square root of x squared, it's just going to be x. So what you do basically is you take the square root of this, that equals x, the square root of this, that equals 2, and then the shortcut is it's a 2 by 2, so 2 terms times 2 terms, and we're going to put this x in the first blank in both of them, we're going to put the 2 in the second blank in both of them, and then the signs are going to alternate. Now, the reason why the signs alternate, so as you can see, we get the same thing that we did here. The reason why the signs alternate is because if we do this x squared, and then we have plus 2x minus 2x, plus 2x minus 2x is just going to go to 0, and then it's minus 4. So we get what we started with. Okay, now, just like any time you factor, you always want to pull out a GCF. So we're going to pull out a GCF here, which is 2. That leaves us with x squared minus 9. Then we're going to need to factor this. So I'm going to put a box around that. That's one of my factors. And then I know it's 2 terms, and the signs alternate. Now it doesn't matter if it's plus minus or minus plus. Take the square root of this, that's x. Square root of this, that's 3. So x goes here, 3 goes here, x and 3. And then I bring down this 2. So if I would multiply all of this out, I would get that binomial. All right, last one. Again, you want to pull out a GCF. Here it looks like it's going to be 2. So that leaves me with 25x squared minus 1. All right, now I take the square root of this, and that's going to be 5x. Square root of this, that's going to be 1. So now I do 5x minus 1, 5x plus 1. So the only difference between the parentheses, one has a minus and one has a plus. And again, here I did plus minus, here I did minus plus. Doesn't really matter.